I went on a Mormon mission and I married my companion. So, the field. Let's get into that. After spending 6 weeks in the MTC, not all missionaries spend 6 weeks. If you're not learning a language, you only do, I think now it's like 1 or 2. Then it was 2 weeks. If you're learning a language, you're there for 6 weeks at least. For more difficult languages like Mandarin, it's a little longer because they're more complex languages. But yeah, 6 weeks later, I was on my way to California. You get to the field, you're assigned a companion, and that companion is called your trainer. And they're basically training you how to be a missionary. So you are typically with that trainer for 2 transfers, 6 weeks each. They are showing you the ropes and helping you understand all of the rules. These rules are the same as the ones that I mentioned before. You wake up at 6:30, you exercise in the morning, you do personal study, companionship study, language study, and then you're out on the streets knocking on doors, talking to people, teaching lessons, meeting with members in your local congregation, things like that. Now, I was in Southern California in the middle of June is when I arrived, and within the first few weeks, it got very hot very quickly. We lived in an apartment with 2 other sisters, so another companionship, and we shared a car with them. So we didn't always have a car. And on the days that we didn't have a car, we were either walking or we were riding bikes. And like I said, it was the middle of summer, so it was incredibly hot. And we didn't have AC in our apartment. There were days where we would bike, and I remember taking off my messenger bag that also converted into a backpack. And I had worn it as a backpack when we would bike, and my back was just soaked in sweat. I mean, it was so hot. No matter how much water I carried or how much I tried to like cool myself down, I was still wearing a lot of layers and biking in a skirt. At the time, we were not allowed to wear pants yet. That changed later in my mission. So we were still riding bikes in dresses and skirts. We didn't have a lot of people to teach, and we didn't have a lot of success in, contacting people. We did do a lot of member work in that area, which basically just means like meeting with the local members to build relationships, encourage them to do missionary work on their own, help us with the work, attend lessons with us. Despite that, I still loved that area. The ward was really amazing, and I met some really incredible people. We did have phones in my mission, so we had smartphones. They were still fairly new in missionary work at the time, so I think only a few months before my mission had like implemented it and put all of their paper records into the digital format that the church was rolling out on the smartphones. Every missionary now came out with a phone, and on that phone we had an app called Area Book that we tracked all of our people, all of our activities, planned our day, things like that. Even though we did have smartphones, these smartphones were incredibly limited in what they could do. They were basically locked down by the church, and there were only specific apps that they had to be approved in order to download them. Anything else, like they could monitor anything you did on those phones. Let me explain the structure of like the groupings within a mission. So you have the mission, which is the whole California Carlsbad mission. It's a boundary. Within the mission, you have zones, which is the mission separated into smaller areas. And within those zones, you have districts. So those are even smaller groups, and typically those include between like 5 and 6 companionships of both elders and sisters. During every transfer, or those 6-week time periods, you meet in a zone conference. So every zone gets together and meets with our mission president, and we do like a whole day-long event, and there are lessons and activities and things like that. Then you also have president interviews. So you meet with your mission president, and he does little interviews with you, checks in on you, asks you about the work, asks you about you, how your family is, things like that. And then every week you meet with your district, and you do district council. And same thing, you do trainings, and you sort of support each other, help each other solve any problems that maybe you're having with people you're teaching or with your companionship. There are also leadership roles within the mission. So you have your mission president. He's in charge of the whole thing. He's usually an older man. I'd say anywhere between like 50 to 70 is like the range. And he has his wife. And then under the president, there is also senior couples that are assigned to the mission to support with office tasks, administrative things. Some of them help in specific wards or areas. And then there are the assistants to the president, who are just regular boy missionaries, little teenage boys who are like his personal assistants that help him keep track of the missionaries, help him with organizing things and working with the other leadership roles in the mission. And then under the APs, or the assistants to the president, you have zone leaders. So like I mentioned, the zones, there are 2 elder missionaries who are in charge of that. And then within those zones, there are also sister training leaders. And that is the only leadership role that sisters have as missionaries. They are pretty much only in charge of the sisters. They're told to support them and help them with whatever the sisters need, but they're not really given a lot of responsibility in terms of like a zone as a whole or any group other than the girls. It was pretty exciting if a sister got called to be that. Though I think for some people, they probably didn't love that responsibility all that much. Something that wasn't considered a leadership position but was considered an honor to be able to do was train a new missionary. Like I mentioned earlier, you get to the field, you're assigned a trainer, and that is your companion for at least 2 transfers of 6 weeks each. I was assigned to train my wife.